What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Arrow Season 8, Episode 3, Leap of Faith. I'm sorry, what? What? Did you... What? I'm... I'm confused. Mad confused. Um... I guess we'll see what this means in the next episode, but I have no theories about what any of this means. Um... I don't know, again, I've always seen the flash forwards as kind of pointless because it just felt like one, you're spoiling a lot of stuff that's about to come. So it's kind of like, well, why are you basically showing us so much of what's happening? Um, so the fact that all of a sudden now they're back in seemingly the present time, but the weird thing about it is I don't know exactly when this is supposed to be. Is this supposed to be a bit more forward in the future from where we just were with Oliver and John? Or is it just basically where they were before, but Oliver basically got teleported from Nanda Parbat back to the lair? I don't know. I have no idea what just happened. I'm assuming it has something to do with Mar-Novu and his whole plan, I guess, whatever he's trying to do. But I guess if this is finally a reason for these flash forwards to exist, good. Because again, it's been the weakest part of these last two seasons has just been that, because it felt pointless, it felt spoilery, it just kind of felt stupid because they ran out of ideas after they were doing all the flashbacks to when Oliver was supposed to be on the island. So yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes. But aside from that, the rest of this episode pretty straightforward. Thea comes back, so in keeping with this season and kind of the bringing back old characters, I really hope they got Slade back, because I would love to have one final episode with him, just because he is still my favorite character in this entire series. But yeah, she comes back, as well as Talia. Nissa's not around though, and then Athena, who I don't remember if we probably have met her before because she was the leader of the Thanatos Guild. I just don't really remember her, and that's because the Thanatos Guild, I'm pretty sure, came at a time when I was not really... I was kind of hating this show, if I remember right. I'll have to look up and see what season that was, but pretty sure it's been one of the last couple seasons. Yeah, then basically just kind of a scavenger hunt to find information about Mar-Novu that the League might have. And we didn't really find much of anything. Apparently the original Ra's al Ghul had some notes about him or something like that. But it kind of painted him, I guess, in a bad light. It's making him seem like he's the cause of the crisis. And that's possible. It's very possible that he might have something to do with it. But it's still very much up in the air exactly what's going on. And I like the mystery that they're keeping with that, because it is hard to tell, can we trust the Monitor or not? Who knows? We're getting very different views of him between the Flash and Arrow, whereas here he's much more involved. He's much more the focus of the story because he's helping Oliver do all of this stuff. But he's seen in a very distrusting light. Like we think he might be a bad guy on this show, whereas on the Flash, I mean, it's not that they think he's a bad guy, but they also don't trust him. But it's more in a, we think we can change Barry's fate. But of course, Barry doesn't think that, because he saw a bunch of futures where he died in pretty much all of them. Either he died or everybody died. So, but yeah, I like that mystery, and I'm glad they're playing with our expectations a little bit, because I still don't really know whether or not we can trust Mar-Novu. Like, he seems like he's a good guy, but ultimately he could be kind of evil. So we'll see on that. As far as the stuff with John and Lila, I felt kind of pointless, other than just, oh guys, it's Connor, they're gonna adopt him one day, oh, we're setting up for the future. That's all I really got from that. Is this is how they find Connor, and then I guess eventually his mom will die or something like that, and then he'll whatever. But yeah, and then we get to the future stuff, and this is where, I mean, again, I'm still not really interested in the plot because essentially this was another stupid Mia decision where she's just like, yeah, let's storm their base, because she's an idiot still. And of course it gets somebody killed. So maybe this will change her. Maybe she'll finally realize the error of her ways, but she's kind of been dumb this season, and she was dumb last season. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that there's some character development for her now, because it seemed like last season she did start to learn how to work as a team, figured out how to trust others. But then this season, all of a sudden, she doesn't trust anyone but herself again. She's working with other people, but she wants to do it her way or no way. And so in this one, Zoe gets stabbed, which really poorly done scene, by the way. I mean, there are some other scenes throughout the episode that, God, what was... Oh, the one with Athena, whenever she brought all of her people in, and then she's like, give me the sphere, and Talia's just like, sure, and hands it to her. We find out later Talia memorized it, so she didn't need it, but you've still given her the information that she needs now, like an idiot. And then she says, give it to me or die, and then she still has them attack them and try to kill them. So, if she was going to attack you anyway, why give her the information? Dumber than that, she says, attack them. Which, I don't know, something about, attack! That's intense, it's motivational, it's like, attack them! Why did you add them? It doesn't sound as powerful anymore. And then, they fight, they take out a couple of her guys, and then, Talia throws a smoke bomb, which disorients Athena, and then instead of getting the sphere back from her, so again, she can't track you because she'll have the information, they just let her have it. And then even dumber, they get to the crypt and Athena's like, yeah, you guys go first. You guys go solve all the puzzles first, because I'm sure that won't lead to any oh no, they made it across and now we have to cross, and we're basically sitting ducks for Oliver to just shoot his arrows at us. And then all of a sudden, like, the ceiling crumbled and fell on top of Athena and I guess killed her. It was all kind of dumb. But getting back to the other dumb scene from the future, this moment where, JJ and Mia are fighting, and then he has the sword up against her neck and, like, it's, causing blood to come gushing out. And then Zoe comes up, shoulder checks him. And I'm just like, really? Like, first of all, incredibly dangerous, because you shoulder check him, he's got his sword right here. You shoulder check him this way, the sword is going to go that way. So I'm shocked that it didn't just cut across her. So shoulder checks him to the ground, and then she stares at Mia. You okay? What, you think a shoulder check knocked him out, and you're going to turn your back on him? And then they stand there for a few seconds. I'm just like, gee. I mean, obviously this came out before No Way Home, but it reminded me of a scene from No Way Home that I won't talk about, just in case for some reason somebody's watching this and hasn't been spoiled on it yet and doesn't want to hear. But it just reminded me of a scene where you're just sitting there like, the villain's behind you, not knocked out, obviously. And you're just standing there like, yeah, we're good. Why are you holding on me uncomfortably long? Why is everything quiet, almost like something bad's about to... and then sword through the stomach. Just like, you think? I can't stand those scenes, like, I don't know. It's one thing if you're distracted by something and then you get hit from behind, but whenever you know for a fact that the villain is not out, because again, she just shoulder checked him. It's not like she knocked him out or hit him on the head or did anything along those lines. She just shoulder checked him to the ground and then just stands there with her back turned to him for a good 10 seconds. You know what? You deserve to die. But again, it also comes down to Mia made the decision to run in there, so it's her fault as well. Which means, hopefully she'll learn from her mistakes at this point. But yeah, and then of course everybody shows up at the end. Seemed that I'm pretty sure I saw just William. Oh, sorry. Pretty sure I just saw William, Mia, and Connor. So I don't know why JJ didn't come back, and I don't know why Zoe's corpse didn't come back. How trippy would that be? Like, she just shows up and she's bleeding out, and I think, pretty sure she's Dinah's daughter, maybe? She just looks at her. Who is that? Why does she look kind of like me? But I don't know. Again, I'm curious now to see how they're going to explain all of this because it's definitely got my interest peaked to see why this is happening. Um, so I guess it's good in the fact that I'm curious now. Like I've not been this curious about most of the last several seasons. So the fact that it's got me this interested and this on the edge of my seat to see what's happening next, it's a step in the right direction. So we'll see what happens in the next episode. And now episode 4, present tense. So overall, okay episode. Definitely one of those episodes that you feel like, where exactly are they going with this, and how much of this makes sense versus how much doesn't? Because there's a lot that they're talking about from the future that it seems like will change it, but at the same time, this is not really a show that's known for changing the future in this way. But then again, maybe this is why they showed us this future, so that way they can bring the kids back and we can see the difference whenever they make the changes. But I did like, kind of the message that was being brought up, and it just, I don't know, it was nice to see a lot of these characters sort of get motivated after being so down in the dumps. Because I mean, when you hear a lot of this stuff, which also I wanted to go ahead and clarify because I made the mistake. I forgot Zoe is Renee's daughter. For some reason, I thought I know Dinah was training her, and I think that's why I thought she was Dinah's daughter for a second. It's also been a while since I've watched this show, so I forgot all the relationships and stuff. But I mean, yeah, hearing that Zoe died and hearing that JJ was responsible and Diggle having to deal with that, I mean, it put a lot of them in this kind of depressed state, which, I mean, it should, because when you hear about that, that's your future, it would make you feel this way, realistically. So I'm glad they kind of, by the end of it, sort of overcame that feeling of, oh, future just, it's going to suck. And they said, no, we're going to change the future. We're going to make it better. So I like that. I also did like a lot of the talks between William and Oliver. I felt like it was a nice bonding moment, since we haven't really had much of William and Oliver talking since William left for his grandparents. So it was just nice to see them be able to bond. They had some fun moments as well. Just, it's because I think they did such a good job of... I haven't talked about casting, but as far as the people they got to play, William and Mia, Connor, all of the future people, I don't really have a problem with it. I think they were cast well enough. They're all good actors. And I feel like they do a good job of bringing some of what we're seeing now from the parents into their characters. So it was just, I think they did a good job casting William. So there were some really good moments whenever they're having their conversations, where he's talking about how he was, when he was younger, and the stuff that he's thought when he was, 12 and 13. And of course, now looking back, I think that happens to everyone. When you get older, you look back at your kid years and you're like, God, I was such an idiot when I was a kid. My kid mind was so dumb, and now I'm looking back and, God, how did I not know how dumb I was? So there were just some really well written moments between the two of them because of that. Mia had a good moment at the end, but for the most part in this episode was still being the annoying little brat that she's been. So I wasn't a big fan of that, but like I said, they gave her a moment at the end where they showed Zoe's death was hitting her hard, and that question of, does the guilt ever go away? I mean, that's something that I feel like I was expecting to see a bit more of, is her reaction to, I made this decision, I made the call to go in, and Zoe died because of it. Even if she was dumb and just stood there like an idiot with her back to the villain, beside the point, I'm still the one that made that decision to make us go in there and put her in harm's way, and then she died because of it. I wanted to see more of that struggle, but instead they just showed her being a brat, being cold to her father because she doesn't want to talk to him because he wasn't there for her, and blah, 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 blah. And then finally at the end, we get that little conversation. I wanted more of that, because that was good, and I enjoyed that part. So, I mean, overall, decent episode. Having Slade Wilson's other son does make me worry that we're not going to see him this season, and I really hope we do. I want to see him. He's still the best character by far. It is very coincidental, though, that as soon as they show up, the kids, all of a sudden this new Deathstroke shows up. So, of course, they're going to think it's JJ, but then it turns out to be Slade Wilson's other son. So, a little coincidental that he decided to start his attack right as soon as they showed up. But I still don't really know what's going on with Mar-Novu. Because we see at the end, he's talking to Laurel and basically tells her, if you want to get your world back, I can do that, but you need to betray Oliver Queen. So I have no idea what his thing is. I'm wondering, honestly, if there's more than one of him, because sometimes it seems like what he's doing is to help and is to benefit the people that are trying to save the world, but then sometimes it feels like he's a hindrance, and he's trying to basically say, no, stop, that's not what I want you to do. And maybe it's because he knows what he actually needs to do. But in this case, it seems weird that, Oliver obviously is looking into him and trying to figure out more about him and whether or not he can trust him. And he's just now finally saying, okay, no, we need to stop him. I don't know. It feels like he would have stepped in sooner if Oliver were going against the plan. But maybe this is part of it. Maybe he saw his betrayal and saw that he doesn't trust him and that he's going to try to stop him. And so he's letting him because that's all part of it. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from him, honestly. And that is still part of the fun, I think, is just that feeling of you don't know what to think. You don't really know who to trust in the end. So, yeah, overall, pretty good episode. Don't know what they're going to do still with the future, the kids from the future yet, just because, by the end of it, they're still not going back home. Oliver's going to Russia, which I know holds a lot of memory for him, so, but yeah, it was pretty good. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, that being said, on to the final of these 3 episodes. See you there. And now, episode 5.
Prochnost.
Because again, I am way too, I guess, ignorant into how to actually pronounce Russian words. So I think I had something similar with the Blacklist. Can't remember if it was a Russian word or if it was... I'm pretty sure it was a Russian word. Anyways. But yeah, so... chance to go back to Russia for Oliver and also take Mia and William with him as well. And so they get to hear sort of about his life by the end of it, which I think is a good thing, honestly, because even though Mia is still acting like a brat in this episode, I actually do agree with her a little bit more, because Oliver is pushing them away, and that's, I don't think it's really what he wants to do, but it's what he feels like he needs to do. And I think ultimately, even if he does end up sacrificing himself at the end to save the world, I think it's going to come down to more letting everybody help him. That's going to be what really helps save the day. Because I feel like part of his sacrifices tend to be he's going to go do it all on his own. And I feel like that's sort of the problem that... The problem with the character of Oliver Queen is how many times he's decided, I'm going to do this by myself. So it's been nice to see a lot of people force their way in and basically say, no, you're not going to do this by yourself. You have friends. I like that, because I think it's a good moral for this season, is showing how many people Oliver had in his life that helped him. So I really like that side of the story, even though, again, Mia, when she gets in this mood where she's being a brat, it is tough to watch because I do get frustrated with her. But I thought her reasoning for this episode was a lot better than it has been in the past, where it's just essentially she wants to do what she wants to do. And that's pretty much all she really has, is she thinks she's smarter and better than anybody else in the room. But I thought all that was interesting. We did get to see, in the end, Laurel decides not to go with Lila, which I also really liked, because there were a couple scenes with her and Anatoly where he's just like, you're basically the same person. You're still evil. Once evil, always evil. So it was nice to see her in the end say, no, if I did all of this, if I betrayed him just to get my world back, how would that change anything? I would be going back to who I was, and what's the point? So I really liked that. And then, of course, Lila, whatever she's doing, I don't know. They all got hit with some sleeping darts. It seems very monitor-y for them to get hit with sleeping darts. It would seem to make more sense if he, did something like magic to them into some holding cell or something along those lines. So I guess maybe she's using Argus to help the Monitor somehow. I don't know. I still am a bit frustrated with her, though, that she's just so willingly going along with his plan. Maybe we'll find out more as to why in the next couple episodes. But for now, without knowing exactly why, other than he said it was to save everyone. I kind of feel like that's very weak because how do you know you can trust him? Especially because Lila is the head of an organization where she does constantly have to do underhanded stuff to save the world. I feel like this would be something that you would want to look into more before you just went on fully of believing him and helping him, because you might be helping somebody who's going to cause the end of the world, not save it. So I hope they clarify that a little bit more as to what exactly she's seen, how did he prove it to her that he is trying to help, all of that stuff. I want more answers so it doesn't make Lila seem like such a shallow character. But aside from that, we also see Roy return. Diggle gives him a speech about how, basically this is how you control your bloodlust in the future because that's what everybody told me. So we're going to do it earlier. It's you being a part of a team and everybody helping you. That's how you learn to keep it under control. So nice moment for Roy, and it does keep him around for the big crisis thing because I'm sure he'll probably help out as well. I am kind of wondering if Thea is also going to show up because it seems like she should, but at the same time, that scene between her and Oliver in the last episode definitely felt like a very goodbye. Like, this is the last time we'll be seeing each other for the rest of the series. So it seems unlikely based on that and how it felt that she'll be coming back. But at the same time, I feel like this crisis is going to be a lot of characters returning, especially from Arrow, since it's the one that started it all. I mean, we've already seen so many characters come back from like the first season, the second season. Still waiting for Slade, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's interesting to see that Roy's coming back, and it seems like he's going to be part of the team. Whereas Thea, she's going and doing her own thing, even though she probably could help with the crisis because she is very good at what she's doing. But also, she's apparently starting this League of Heroes, which I forgot to talk about, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a decent episode. The fighting in the ring was pretty well done as well. The fight scenes, for the most part this season, have been solid. Nothing spectacular. I feel like this episode, though, in the fighting ring was probably the best, but it also did have one of the moments when you had Mia going down the room trying to ring the bell. And I mean, I don't know. I get that you're trying to show like she's checking the time as she's going, but the way that they shot it made it seem like she checked the time 3 times, and every single time she did, she looked at it for a good 3 to 5 seconds. That wastes a lot of time. And she was like a half a second away from actually being able to ring it. So I just thought it was really weird for them to do it that way. Like, you could have done some better shots where you show her, like, maybe she's pinned up against the wall and she glances over and glances back, and then you, like, show the time or something. But to show her, like, turning her head, turning back, like, that's a lot of time to be wasting for somebody who's on a clock who thinks they might die if they don't go ring the bell. So it's just kind of silly. But aside from that one, though, everything else felt very solid as far as the action was concerned. So, but yeah, I mean, all in all, decent 3 episodes. I'm intrigued to see what the future kids are going to bring. They're not really kids. Honestly, it's funny because I keep talking about them like they're kids, but then I keep remembering, wait a minute, this is 20 years in the future. William's 13, so he's actually 33, and Mia was just born, so she's 2021, somewhere around there. So it is funny, I look at them and I think, oh, they're the future kids, because they are younger than our main cast, except for, I guess William might be older than a couple of them. But yeah, it is just kind of ironic when I'm like, oh wait, Mia's 20, maybe 21, Connor would be 26, and then William would be 33. They're not really kids anymore, are they? But yeah, I say future kids because they are kids in the present day, and then they're in the future. So kind of makes sense in my mind, but I just realized when I was saying future kids, that it sounds like I'm just calling them kids, which they're not. Anyway, that's a little tangent I went off on. But just seeing them involved in the present day, it does kind of make me feel like, okay, so the future arc did have a purpose. It's something I just always saw it as like okay, so we're just seeing what's happening in the future. Cool, a lot of spoilers, so we know what's going to happen. But now that they've come back into the present, it does sort of make me feel like, okay, so they could change that future then. Since they're learning about what the future holds for them currently, based on, what they didn't already know. The kids coming back into the past, does give them hope for, okay, well, things don't have to turn into the shithole that we've seen in the future arc. So, yeah, I do have to appreciate the fact that there was a purpose to it. Did they take it a little long to get there? Yeah. I don't know if we needed a full season and a half, but I guess the nice thing is you did give us some time to get accustomed to these characters as their older selves, so that way we do get to see sort of where they all are. So I don't know if when they started the future arc, if they had this in mind that they were going to bring them back into the past or not. But if so, I mean, brilliant piece of writing. If it's something they just decided for this season, then still good for them to figure out a way to tie it in to make it make sense why we're seeing the future. But yeah, I mean, overall, it definitely knocked this season up some notches for me. Just getting to know that, okay, so there was a purpose for all that. We weren't just wasting time there. Some of it was still time waster, but it's the normal time filler. It's not just like, oh, we can't fill half of this season. Let's just tell the story of the future, guys. So, but anyway, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future error reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.